Welcome to the Heal Your Hunger Show, where we get to the heart of why you overeat and how to stop. If you struggle with food and weight like I did, welcome home. Hello and welcome to the Heal Your Hunger Show. So glad that you've joined me here today. I really appreciate it. If you're here for the first time or you don't know what Heal Your Hunger is all about, well, if you struggle with food and weight in any way, if you've struggled with overeating or undereating or just doing weird things with food, it's probably emotionally driven, in which case you probably are an emotional eater, in which case you are so in the right place. I was 50 pounds overweight and a hopeless emotional eater. I couldn't stop for anything. And I tried so many things, self-help books and 12-step programs and pills and potions and lotions and groups and all kinds of funky things, and nothing worked for me until I was able to get help to identify and heal the underlying causes. So that's what we talk about here. This is all about the underlying causes to help you really get to the bottom of why you overeat and how to stop. So I'm really excited that you've found us. Thank you. Really psyched about that, and I hope that you can relate to what we're talking about. I mean, in an ideal world, you wouldn't relate, but if you're here, you're probably looking for some answers, and I hope to have some for you. So today's topic is going to be the 3 pills for successful weight loss, okay? And the pills I'm talking about are tough pills. And there are some tough pills to swallow when it comes to weight loss, and these are things that are often overlooked. And I just gotta level with you guys. I gotta tell you what it's about and what's really going on, because I have a feeling you might be overlooking some of these things. Or if you know this stuff, you just need a reminder. That's always the case as well. I need a lot of reminders myself. And so we're gonna talk about the 3 tough pills to swallow for successful weight loss. Now, recently I ran into a gal who had a very significant loss in her life, and she was talking to me about how she grief eats. You know, she has terrible grief, and she just like dives into the food to try to just cover over those emotions or get through them, which I totally understand. I mean, it's just, loss is so hard to grapple with, and it's the grief cycle is so rough. You know, I remember when my father died, and I couldn't believe how real grief is, and how I would just start crying in the checkout line at the grocery store. I mean, anywhere I was, the grief would come on me, and I'd be in tears, and I thankfully didn't hold them back because I didn't want to eat over them, so I just let them flow, and I literally be standing in the checkout line with tears running down my face. And there was grief. It was doing its thing, you know, not on my timetable. So anyway, grief is a very powerful emotion. But anyway, so she grief eats, and she said, you know, I didn't used to be overweight at all. I was in a thin body, and now I find myself, you know, she's probably put on, I don't know how many pounds, 20, 30 pounds, but she said, now I just don't care, you know, like I think about it, wow, I shouldn't be eating, but I feel like, what's the point, you know, because she's lost the most significant person in her life, and she finds it hard to care, you know. And that's really understandable. That's also a function of depression, you know, that accompanies grief so often, you know, that lack of caring. And it's a scary place to be, frankly. If there's any aspect of your life that you suddenly just don't care about, that can be scary, because we can't muster up caring, you know. It comes from within, and if we don't have it, we don't have it. So I totally got what she was saying. But I want to share some things that might help anybody who's feeling that same way. If you have that I don't care part of you, overeating has so little to do with, you know, not just what we eat or how much we weigh, but, you know, our body size and how we look and how our pants fit. All that stuff that's wrapped around emotional eating and gaining weight is terribly important and terribly hard to deal with, but it's only one piece of the pie, if you pardon the pun, the food pun. You know, it is only one slice of the pie, and there's so much more of that pie that people don't think about. So while it may be hard to care that you're overweight, or you've let yourself go and by now it's like, I'm 50 pounds overweight. What's another 5? Who cares? Or my husband left me for my best friend, so why should I care? I want you to know that there's so much more effect that emotional eating is having on you than just the weight gain and everything goes with that. I mean, when we emotionally eat, first of all, we create a pall over our lives because we feel bad about it. I mean, you can't stuff yourself day after day and feel good about yourself. We automatically feel really crappy about ourselves. We have these self-recriminating thoughts like, why did you do that? You're so lazy. Why don't you have self-control? What's wrong with you? Nobody's going to love you. You're so ugly, blah, blah, blah. The thoughts are relentless, right? Okay, so we've got that going on all day long. I mean, imagine how that hinders your effectiveness in life and your joy of living. I mean, it's so hard to be happy when we're beating on ourselves constantly. So you have that. Then you have the health effects. Obviously, when we overeat on a regular basis, when we gain weight, we're in terrible risk of diabetes, heart disease, metabolic syndrome. I mean, there's so many different health issues that go along with, autoimmune disease, thyroid, endocrine, issues, so many different things that we put our bodies at risk for simply because we're overeating, because we never overeat on salads, or that's the last thing we're reaching for. We're reaching for crappy food that's poisoning our bodies. So you have that aspect, the health aspect. Then you have the motivation. I mean, we don't want to exercise when we binge because we feel sick and we're full and we're just like, what's the point? And we couldn't get off the couch if you paid us because we're tied to our shows and we don't want to, we're so checked out because overeating is so painful that we don't want to wake up to what we've done. So we just stay glued to the TV and one show after the next, which is very easy to do nowadays. And so we just remain numbed out. I mean, our relationships suffer because we're despondent. We don't want to be sexual, right, with our partners. Like, forget about it. We don't want to be touched. We don't even want to shower or keep up good hygiene because we're sick about what we did to our bodies and we don't want to touch our bodies. We miss deadlines at work. We miss paying bills. I mean, sometimes we let bills go inadvertently because we're tied to the couch and to our food and we're hungover constantly. So we've got late fees in our bills. There are so many ripple effects of overeating that don't automatically meet the naked eye. But not only that, but if somebody is a seeker, which so many people are drawn to Heal Your Hunger we're spiritual seekers, we're looking to better ourselves. If you're, real and serious about bettering yourself, you've read self-help books, I mean, you're constantly going to seminars or Tony Robbins or Marianne Williamson, and you're always on a search for, the meaning of life and how to live better and be your best self, on and on and on, and yet you're overeating on a daily basis, guess what? You are tamping down that connection between you and God. It's like you have a water hose and you just put a wrinkle in that hose and no water's getting through. That's what we do to our spiritual connection when we overeat. So while it may seem like, why should I care if I've gained weight? Maybe you shouldn't. Like, maybe that doesn't matter. That's not a priority in your life. But what you probably will care about once you understand is the ripple effect it's having in every area of your life. So if you're a seeker, if you're looking to improve yourself, but you're overeating or you're 100 pounds overweight, guess what? You are seriously hindering yourself in your ability to have that spiritual connection, to have real joy, to have real faith. I mean, you're putting your faith in food, not in God. I mean, you're saying, food, fix me, do for me what I should be turning to my higher power for, because I think you can do a better job. I think you're more immediate. I can get my hands on you. I can go straight to the store and make that connection. Whereas meditating or praying or doing other things, doesn't seem quite as immediate, and I need results and a fix now. So just understand that there are big effects that come from overeating that you might not be thinking of. So when it may seem like you don't care, you probably don't have all the facts on what that food is doing to you and how many ways it's making you miserable. So many more ways than just not fitting into your pants. So that's tough pill to swallow, number one. Overeating is much more about your entire life and your entire attitude toward yourself, toward others, and toward life in general. And that's big. That's a huge impact. Huge. And so that's tough pill number one. Now, tough pill number two came about, or my thinking about this came about when somebody was talking to me about, what I do. And she was saying, well, what if you just want to eat yummy things? I mean, like, what if you just want to, or what, if you're at a party and something looks good, why don't you just what's wrong with just eating it? And it's kind of cute, I mean, there's nothing wrong with it. I mean, we have free choice, free will. We can eat whatever we want. The crazy part is when emotional eaters complain about their weight and they pine over being thin, but then they're resistant to the idea of not eating their favorite foods. So the really smart marketers out there, to us dieters, will say, oh, you can eat everything you want and still lose weight. Or that's the pill, we're usually looking for, right? Let me eat what I want, but still lose weight. Or, you can have a cheat day, or you can cheat all you want, but just do this, this, and this, and you will lose weight. So the smart marketers will sell us, they'll hook us, with that lie. And the fact is that, the tough pill to swallow number two is you're going to have to change the way you eat, okay? And while you're welcome to eat whatever you want, just be aware that while you're complaining about your weight, but you're defending your right to eat all the ooey gooey chewy foods that are available to you, you're probably not going to lose weight, okay? So let's come straight out of denial and talk about the fact that if you want to lose weight, you're going to have to abstain from certain foods if you're a real emotional eater. And the fact is that, as emotional eaters, we're different than your average person. Your average person who's not an emotional eater, who might have 5 pounds to lose because they just came from vacation or something, they can probably handle an ooey gooey chewy something or other now and then. That's fine. But if you're an emotional eater, one ooey gooey chewy ends up being many ooey gooey chewies. So, this is why we have the Heal Your Hunger show, because it's for those class of people who are emotional eaters who can't just eat one, okay? Or who always have to have one. Normal eaters may or may not have a cookie after lunch, okay? If it's offered to them. If it's not offered to them, they're not even looking for it, okay? But normal eaters may or may not, but that's it. They have one and then they make sure they make it to the gym that day. Emotional eaters, it's not the same. We, every time we're offered something, we always say yes. We always have that item. And then we always have some more, okay? And if it isn't offered to us, we're keeping our eye out for that dessert tray. When are they going to show us that beautiful array of desserts, because I want to choose one. And so the fact is that if you want to lose weight and if you want to really overcome emotional eating, you can't have your cake and eat it too. I'm sorry, and I'm not saying you, have to live, a dour life of salads, and carrot sticks. Nevertheless, it's really important to know that nothing's going to change until you change. That's the fact. Now, the caveat here is that if you're a real emotional eater, you can't just eat right. And I understand that, and I want to acknowledge that, okay? So just saying, oh, you're going to have to let go of the ooey gooey chewy foods, that's pretty much impossible if you're an emotional eater. What I do in my program, 7 Steps to End Emotional Eating Now, is I show people how to change their life so they no longer crave those foods. And that is important, okay? Just saying no to things that you're crawling the walls dying to have, that's pretty much, a recipe for misery. But what I'm talking about is healing the underlying causes so you don't have to have those desserts. So you're not even thinking about dessert at the end of your yummy lunch, okay? And so I understand that you can't just say no. I couldn't either. But there is a way that you can have those, impulses change or be literally, have them evaporate on the spot. By going deeper and doing this deeper work, through the 7 simple steps. So I invite you to check that out. But the point here is really the fact that, we can't just have it all and expect to get the results that we want. We're going to have to grow up and make some big girl choices. We're going to put on our big girl panties and really make some choices, and do some work, and the best thing we can do is not try to fight food or fight those yummy foods, but to do the inner work so that you no longer even care about those foods. And that is definitely, the way to go. And the third tough pill to swallow is that, we always find time to do what we deem important. And recently I heard somebody who has put on weight say, I overheard a conversation, she's like, oh gosh, my problem is finding the time to exercise. Lately I just haven't had the time. Give me some time and, I can get this weight thing back on track. Well, to me, I'm thinking you already have the time. You actually have 24 hours, and you'll always only have 24 hours a day. I mean, that's all any of us have. None of us has more or less than 24 hours a day. So it's a matter of how we spend that time. And while I understand circumstances come up that need our dire attention and everything else has to fall by the wayside, that's usually an occasional situation. It's not 24/7, for year after year. So the fact of finding time to exercise comes down to making time for the things we deem most important, because we always find the time to do what we deem important. So chances are, if we're working a lot in our job, if we're flying here and there from our job, well, that's a choice. Okay, you're not a victim of that. You chose that job, you chose that schedule, you said yes, you set the precedent for going everywhere at any time because you wanted the raise or you just wanted the praise. Okay, you did that. So that's a choice. You deemed that to be more important than putting some limits on your time so you could have time to exercise. Doing things for other people. If you're constantly in service to other people and you don't have time to take care of yourself, well, that's a choice. You deem that to be more important than self-care. Okay, and that may seem harsh, but it's true, isn't it? I mean, you have decided that caring for other people is more important than caring for yourself. I will tell you, it shouldn't be. Okay, caring for yourself should be your top priority. You should always put your oxygen mask on first. Otherwise, you will run out of oxygen as you help other people. So it's a matter of, deciding how we should spend our time and what is the highest and best use of our time. And if you can't find time to eat right, if you can't find time to exercise, if you can't find time to, go through the 7 Simple Steps program, it's probably because you haven't seen the importance of putting yourself first. You haven't deemed that to be of utmost importance, which it is. It's more important than your job. It's more important than your family. It's more important than, making money or doing service to other people who are infirmed. Sorry, but if you don't put yourself first, you don't have anything to give to anybody else. That's a fact. Or they're getting, 1/10 of what you could be giving them, because you're tired and exhausted and sick. Your body's worn down and it's not getting the vital nutrients it needs. It's living off caffeine and sugar. So it's really important to know that you actually do have the time. You just aren't just, appropriating time in the right way or in the way that will support your weight loss goals. All it takes is, setting new priorities. And that's the facts. So those are the 3 tough pills. I'll go back over them again. Pill number 1 is, if you knew how much emotional eating is affecting you in every area of your life, you might care about what you're doing yourself. You might find it within yourself really a desire to care and to take new action. Tough pill to swallow number 2 is, you have to make tough choices. And you can't have your cake and eat it too. I'm sorry. It's grown-up time. Grown-up time, there are consequences to everything we do. So you have to recognize that and accept that. That's a tough pill to swallow. I do understand, but it's worth it. And tough pill to swallow number 3 is that we always have time for what we deem important. So if you think you don't have time to exercise, if you think you don't have time to eat right, or to meditate, guess what? You actually do. You have 24 hours, in fact. But how you're spending those 24 hours might need to be examined, and some changes might need to be made. Okay, I hope that's helpful to you. If you want to learn more about anything I've talked about here today, there's definitely some links in the show notes that can take you where you need to go. But I'm really honored that you've been here with me here today. Please share this show with other people. Please leave a comment on the website, healyourhunger.com, and please leave an iTunes review as well, or Stitcher, wherever you're accessing this. I'd love to really get the word out even further, and your review can help with that. Thanks so much. You have an awesome day.
If you enjoyed this show and want to get free support, insider health info, exclusive invites to events, and more, visit healyourhunger.com.